Movie Recaps presents COR-A-LINE. The movie opens with a doll drifting out of the night sky through a window and into a pair of hands that are metallic, spindly, and sharp. They proceed in cutting the doll apart and creating a new doll out of it. A doll of a girl with blue hair, button eyes, yellow galoshes, and a yellow raincoat. It is then sent floating back through the window and into the night. We are now outside of the Pink Palace, a slightly dilapidated Victorian house where a new family is moving in. The family is Mel and Charlie Jones, and a 10-year-old daughter with blue hair, yellow galoshes, and a yellow raincoat, named COR-A-LINE. COR-A-LINE walks about and grabs a Y-shaped stick to use as a dowsing rod. She follows a trail around the house and up to the top of the hill. A black cat is following her. As it sits atop a rock, COR-A-LINE asks the cat if he knows where the secret well is. Suddenly an air horn blasts, and a bicyclist wearing a helmet that is painted with a skull startles her. She knocks him off his bike, and he takes off his helmet. This is Wybie. He is about COR-A-LINE's age, and his grandmother owns the home that she has just moved into. She asks about the well, and he uncovers it right before her. Wybie is surprised that his grandmother would let anyone live in the house because he's not even allowed to go near it. Wybie doesn't explain why. He goes to the black cat and pets it, explaining that it is a feral cat. He hears his grandmother calling him and he gets on his bike. Before riding away, he tells COR-A-LINE that the stick she is holding is poison oak, and he rides off. Later at the house, COR-A-LINE's palms have become irritated and it starts to rain outside. She tries to get her parents' attention, but they wave her away and say they are too busy for her, as they are writing articles for a gardening catalog. Her mother gives her a package that was left on the porch. In it, she finds the doll that looks like her. In a note, Wybie writes that he found it and saw that it looked like her and thought she might like it. COR-A-LINE's father tells her to explore the house and write down things that need attention. She leaves and starts taking notes. In the drawing room, she leaves the doll on a table and takes more notes. Suddenly, the doll is gone and is found behind a mattress leaning against the wall. She moves the mattress and finds the outline of a door under the wallpaper. She notices a keyhole and yells for her mother and begs her to help. Her mother agrees as long as COR-A-LINE won't pester her anymore. Her mother finds a skeleton key with a button top in a kitchen drawer and unlocks the small door, and they find a brick wall. That night, COR-A-LINE doesn't want any of the food her father prepared and decides to go to bed early. She is woken up later on by squeaking noises and follows a mouse downstairs to the small door, which is now cracked open. COR-A-LINE opens the small door and there's now a long glowing corridor leading to another small door at its end. She follows it to the other door, and when she goes through it, it is exactly like her drawing room, except it is fixed up and painted brighter. She smells something good and goes into the kitchen and sees her mother. When her mother greets her cheerfully, COR-A-LINE sees that her mother has black buttons for eyes. Before COR-A-LINE gets too worried, the woman explains that she is COR-A-LINE's other mother, and that everyone has one. She goes to get her father for dinner, and he also has black buttons for eyes. He plays and sings a song for COR-A-LINE, which cheers her up, and they all sit down for dinner. The food is fantastic, and her other parents seem to be way better than her true parents. Her other mother asks if COR-A-LINE wants to play a game, but she says that she is sleepy and should go to bed. They take her up to her room, which is decorated wonderfully with moving and talking toys. Other mother puts some mud on COR-A-LINE's poison oak, and she goes to sleep. In the morning, COR-A-LINE wakes up back in her old room and sees that her poison oak is gone. She tries the little door again, but it is bricked up like before. She tries to tell her parents about her adventure, but they both dismiss it as nothing but a vivid dream. COR-A-LINE's mother suggests that she tell the two old actresses downstairs about her dream instead. On the porch, COR-A-LINE finds a bunch of packages addressed to a Mr. Bobinsky, the Russian man who lives upstairs. She goes up and knocks on the door, but there is no answer. She stumbles and the door opens a bit. She can see some kind of miniature circus set up inside. Bobinsky appears, and she gives him the packages, which are cheese samples for his jumping mice circus. COR-A-LINE leaves, but he jumps down to her and tells her that his jumping mice have a warning for her, and they say for her not to go into the small door. COR-A-LINE is surprised, but goes to see the old burlesque performers, Miss Spink and Miss Forcible. They offer COR-A-LINE some tea and begin to reminisce about the olden days. They have some Scotty dogs as pets, as well as a shelf of deceased Scotty dogs that have passed away and been stuffed. Miss Spink reads Coraline's tea leaves and tells her that she is in great danger. When she leaves, there's a fog around the area, and she finds Wybie snooping around looking for banana slugs. The black cat is with him and doesn't want to be on the ground. Coraline insults the cat and says that he is a wuss-puss. Wybie explains that his grandmother had a twin sister who lived with her in the Pink Palace, but she disappeared. His grandmother thinks she was taken away. That night, Coraline leaves some cheese out and follows some mice back to the door, which has the tunnel again. She crawls through and finds her other mother cooking in the kitchen. She tells Coraline to go get her father for dinner and that he is out in the garden. As opposed to the dark and dreary garden of her real parents, this garden has glowing flowers, snapdragons, and other wonderful flora. Her other father takes her up in the air, and she now sees that the whole garden was made to look like her face. After another fantastic dinner, her other mother opens the door and introduces the other Wymby. He doesn't say anything, because other mother made it so he couldn't talk. At the moment, Coraline is fine with her new silent friend. She and other Wymby go to Mr. Babinski's place and watch his spectacular jumping mice circus. In the end, Mr. Babinski thanks them, and they leave. Coraline goes to bed with her other parents and Wymby sitting by her. She wakes up in her old bed again, and her mother takes her to buy school clothes while her father takes the new catalog into town. Coraline finds a pair of colorful gloves, but her mother won't buy them for her. At home, Coraline tries the door again, but it is locked. She finds out that her mother locked it because she found mouse droppings by it. Her mother goes to get groceries, and Coraline nabs the key and unlocks the door. She crawls back through and finds her other house empty. There are treats for her, a new outfit, and a note telling her to go see Miss Spink and Forcible. Coraline eats and goes to see the sisters. Outside, she runs into the black cat, and he speaks to her. He explains that he is a real-world cat and can travel to and from both realities, despite other mothers' attempts to stop him because she hates cats. The cat warns Coraline of the other mother's true nature, but Coraline dismisses it and continues to the sisters. Inside, it is now a huge theater, and the majority of the crowd is Scotty dogs. Coraline sits next to Wymby, and they watch the show. The other sisters perform a musical skit in odd and unflattering costumes, and the act sends the stage and props crashing. Suddenly, they are high above them on a trapeze. They unzip their bodies and reveal young and thin versions of themselves. They grab Coraline and end up balancing her on top of themselves. The show ends, and Coraline goes back to her other parents. Her other mother takes her into the dining room and tells her that she can stay there forever if she likes, but she will need to let her sew buttons onto her eyes. Coraline is shocked and says she needs to sleep and think about it. She goes into her room and tries to force herself to sleep. She finally nods off and wakes up still in the other world. She goes downstairs and finds her father playing the piano and wants to speak to her mother. The other father shushes her and says they shouldn't talk when the other mother is away. Coraline says she is going to find Wymby, and her father says that there is no point. Wymby wasn't smiling enough, and her other mother fixed him. She and the cat walk together as the other world begins to vanish. The cat says that the other mother wants Coraline, either to love her or eat her. Then suddenly he jumps into a bush and bites a circus mouse who is sounding an alarm. He bites the mouse, and it turns into a rat doll. Coraline goes back into the house and goes to the small door, but it becomes blocked by a bureau shaped like a beetle. Other furniture comes to life, grabs Coraline, and takes her to the other mother. Coraline demands to go back home, and other mother becomes angry and transforms into a tall, thin creature. Other mother grabs Coraline and shoves her through a mirror into a small room that she can't get out of. As she looks around, she sees 3 ghostly children, and they tell her to be quiet because other mother might be listening. They tell her that other mother used the dolls she made of them to spy on their lives and to see what made them unhappy. She lured them in, gave them treats, and then ate up their lives. The real eyes are hid somewhere, and if she can find them, it will set their souls free. Suddenly, other Wybie reaches in and pulls Caroline out of the mirror. She sees that other mother has sewn his mouth into a permanent smile, and she cuts the stitches loose. Other Wybie takes her to the door and shoves her through. She crawls back to her world, but realizes that her parents are missing. There's a knock on the door, and Wybie comes in and says he needs the doll back. His grandmother is mad because it belonged to her missing sister. CORALINE realizes that the doll, before it was hers, was made in the image of each ghost child, and the girl ghost she met is Wybie's grandmother's sister. She explains what she has gone through, but Wybie runs out of the house saying she is crazy. Outside, she sees her parents' car, but nothing inside. She goes to see Spink and Forcible, and they give her a special stone that should help her find what she's looking for. That night, she is woken up by the cat. She asks him if he knows where her parents are. He pulls her doll out from under the bed, but it is no longer in her image. It is the back-to-back image of her parents. In a mirror, she sees an image of her parents in extreme cold, and they write, "Help us," on the glass. She goes and lights a fire and throws the doll on it. She gets into her favorite hat and vest, grabs some tools, and brings the stone along. As they go through the tunnel, the cat says that she should stand up to Other Mother and challenge her because she likes games. As she reaches the room, she finds her mother. As she goes to hug her, she changes into the monster form of Other Mother. She grabs the key, locks the small door, then swallows the key. Other Mother asks CORALINE to stay again, but CORALINE challenges her to a game, saying that if she loses, she will stay, but if she wins, Other Mother has to let her, her parents, and the children leave. Other Mother agrees, and CORALINE demands a clue. Other Mother says, "In each of 3 wonders I've made just for you, a ghost eye is lost in plain sight." CORALINE goes out into the garden, and some plants try to take the stone from her, but she gets it back. She decides to look through the stone and can see the glow of one of the eyes. The eye is on the shifter of a praying mantis tractor that her other father uses and chases CORALINE, but he says that Other Mother made him do it. He gives CORALINE the eye before he sinks down in the water. The moon begins to eclipse in the shape of a button, and CORALINE goes to Spink and Forcible. The place is deteriorated, and the Scotty dogs are now bats. The sisters are on stage, wrapped in a large taffy wrapper. CORALINE sees that they're holding the second eye, and as she tries to grab it, they grab her. CORALINE shines her flashlight at the dog bats, and they fly toward her and end up attacking the sisters. She goes to Mr. Bobinski's, and his clothes animate. Using the phone, she spies the third eye in his top hat. She tries to get it, and she finds that the clothes are animated by rats. They rush away from CORALINE. In a panic, she throws the stone at the rat with the eye, but she misses. She falls from the balcony and realizes she has lost the game. Suddenly, the cat comes out with the rat in his mouth, and she gets the last eye. They both go into the house as things start to deteriorate. They face the full form of Other Mother, and she shows them that she has the stone, and she throws it into the fire, destroying it. CORALINE must think fast to find her parents. She tells Other Mother that her parents are behind the small door. Other Mother says that she's wrong and goes to open the door. CORALINE spies that her parents are trapped in a snow globe on the mantle. Other Mother laughs at CORALINE and says that she is trapped here forever, but CORALINE throws the cat at her and puts the snow globe in her pocket. The cat claws out her button eyes, and the room collapses in a web. CORALINE grabs the key and crawls back through to the other door, as Other Mother chases behind her. CORALINE manages to close and lock the door as Other Mother pounds on it. In the house, she finds her parents as they are covered in snow. Her mother asks her why she broke the snow globe, and CORALINE realizes that they have no recollection of what happened. They simply say they will celebrate the publishing of their gardening book. Afterward, CORALINE goes to bed, and her mother gives her a gift box. Inside is the pair of gloves that she wanted. The cat comes by, and she apologizes for throwing him at the Other Mother, and he finally accepts. She puts the 3 eyes under her pillow and dreams that the children have been freed. But they warn CORALINE that she is still in danger because Other Mother will always be looking for her. Other Mother's hand manages to get through the door and creeps about looking for CORALINE and the key. CORALINE realizes she needs to hide the key somewhere and thinks of the well. The hand catches up to her and attacks. Luckily, Wybie arrives and tries to help, but the hand causes him to fall into the well, but he holds on to some weeds. He frees himself and smashes the hand with a rock, breaking it. COR-A-LINE wraps up the hand, the rock, and ties it together with the key string and drops it all into the well. That morning, everyone is gathered to help plant flowers, and COR-A-LINE delivers drinks. Down on the sign for the Pink Palace, the cat stretches and then jumps away. And with that, the movie ends. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. Please do me a favor and subscribe. It will help my channel to grow and improve.